Do you want to? So we talked about the hedonic treadmill, I think, a couple of podcasts ago, but I wanted to recap what it is and then ask you, some questions around it. So just for our listeners, who may be new or whatever, the hedonic treadmill is essentially this life thing where, we're always kind of in humanity satisfied by, whatever may be happening as we kind of, accomplish things throughout our lives. We will just essentially find a new thing. Let's say, you're playing the lottery and you win $1 million. Oh man, this was really great. I won $1 million. But then, you're feeling really good for 2-3 weeks, whatever. The next month goes by. You're like, oh man, this feeling has gone away. I don't feel like a millionaire anymore. I need to gamble again or, play the lottery or do something new. How do I get this feeling back? And that over time becomes the hedonic treadmill. And so for us with grad school, we've accomplished another fucking thing, another degree, another little plaque on the wall or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have, that feeling of the hedonic treadmill of like, okay, well, what's the next itch that I need to scratch? Or, obviously we're still relatively close to the finish line, to having, gone across the finish line. So maybe you don't feel it yet, but, do you have anything in life that's like, what's up next? And I think, I also want to say, I think it's both a healthy thing and when managed well, but can be very unhealthy. So, talking about it and kind of planning around it, I think is, good and positive.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think I am maybe basking a little bit in the accomplishment right now. So it hasn't really hit, but I definitely have aspirations that will definitely like cloud out like my sense of accomplishment. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel like eventually I'm going to start feeling anxious about getting these things done. And I'm not going to care anymore about having completed a doctorate. One of them is I do want to write a book. I want to write more. And, I have a few things published that are like more, lay articles or more like media articles, not like academic stuff. So I'm proud of those writings and I do want to write more. I want to write a book. I have ideas. I have entrepreneurial interests as well. And I won't necessarily speak about that, but I will speak about like ideas for mental health. I think that there's so much that like we have so many challenges and problems. People talk about a mental health crisis, which I think is, fine to call it that, but I think it also kind of maybe minimizes the fact that there are other things that are contributing to this crisis and not just a matter of people having mental health problems as like socioeconomic factors. But I think there are things we can do in terms of the actual treatment, the industry and the service level of mental health. I think there's a lot of things that we do that make no freaking sense. And, I found myself having to, do a lot of like, pushback during my internship because there were practices that just make no sense, and, one thing that comes to mind is like, I think we can do a better job of trying to like, I have interest in exploring data science for mental health, understanding mental health, like challenges and concerns, so for example, there's like these large data banks and I actually accessed one, the UK Biobank for my dissertation. And the biobanks are usually for biological data or biological specimen. So what is not currently available is a sort of large comprehensive data bank for psychometric data. And I think we can learn a lot, I'm talking about 100,000 people contributing psychometric data to a data bank. And, my personal interest would be like cluster analysis to see, if we can create a little bit more of a data-driven understanding of how mental health challenges cluster. Anyway, that's like a little bit too sciencey, but yeah, that's like where my mind is at. Is like, all right, like how do I build a database of 100,000 people contributing psychometric data? Like that's where the hedonic treadmill is taking me now.
Okay, that's what's up. Nice. So for me, I mean, I've got my plate full with fatherhood stuff, I guess. There's, always some shit to do there to try to, mold him into, my son into like a human being, a positive, person in society or whatever. But, in terms of like my own, growth and success, which is, more what I think this is. I mean, I get a lot of value from that. It's been really nice and fun, and, especially spending that time with, my own parents, and just kind of acknowledging that when you're a kid, you're just ungrateful. It's just a part of it. Like you don't know what all they did, for you, the million diapers I've changed, or just spending any kind of time feeding it, literally keeping them alive. You got to recognize like, oh, my parents must have done this or someone must have done this for me to even get to this stage and, feel appreciated and loved or whatever. One thing that I have been trying to do, I was doing some of this during grad school, and I slowed it down to when I was working on my dissertation, just kind of focus on my own stuff to get it together. But I've been doing statistical consulting. I started a little company to basically assist others who are like working on their, master's or doctoral dissertation or other, epidemiologic projects, or, any science related project really, that, may be afraid of the numbers, or, not have a good programming background or different things like that. I can offer my services to help, push you across the finish line if that's what you need. You need somebody to write up your analysis plan and, develop this and da 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 da. And I'm grateful to say that, I've had a few clients even since I graduated. I had maybe 3 or 4 during my doctoral program. And, even that was just like, random, people would hear that I was doing this and get a recommendation. Now I'm like, I started the whole situation and set it up to, have its own Gmail address and stuff. So stats are the letter R, stats are my business, at gmail.com. If anybody is interested in my services, feel free to hit me up. I am, just building a business. Eventually, I would want that to grow into something larger where, we're contracted out to some, larger company or something like that.
Hey, that's great. That's great, man. Yeah. Statistics is something that will never go down in demand. And supply will always be trying to catch up with the demand. But pretty much like every research team that, I've been involved with, like they have to like contract out. Either someone on the team is like a statistician, or they just got to contract out. But no one ever feels confident enough in their statistics abilities. I guess probably because they're not actually good enough. But yeah, it's a, I would imagine a very, it would be a very healthy business.